down the road of life.
Beyond casting away from shore and into the open ocean, I thought most often about the boat being in the water for the first time on this trip.
Oh, love can get you by.
My contemplation over the launch can be compared to other milestones in life which a person ponders over, such as getting a driver's license or their first sexual experience. Countless hours are spent daydreaming how the moment will feel, and when it finally manifests, it's surreal.
She make it rise above, she can lift you in your stride.
Once Baby Strange was finally resting peacefully in her new aqua-environment, other worries entered my thought process. Was she going to be able to handle the big waves? Has she always been this rocky, or did we just overload her? Was the waterline always that low?
Just knew that you were all alone tonight.
As expected, we'd packed way too much, and in our quest to lighten the payload to the best of our abilities, we might have been a little bit extreme about what we chose to leave behind.
La 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 la.
This was my first Christmas away from home, and while I missed my mother and my sisters dearly, it felt symbolic to be letting go of Christmas the way I was letting go of other aspects of conditioned life.
Late at night, when I'm all alone and I'm wondering what it is I'm doing, hundreds of miles.
While I regret not capturing any footage of picking up Max and Tys from the airport, I smile when I realize that it's because I love them that much. A combination of my excitement and the desire to be fully present with my recently reunited friends overpowered the documentation goals. Our late night encounter with the marina security guard was not documented. Our intoxicated attempt at rowing the dinghy in anything but circles was not as hilarious to the other boaters as it was to us.
And believe in the power of you, yes. You got everything you need. And what went wrong, what went right, child, it don't mean a damn thing.
We weren't in a hurry to leave the dock that day. Maybe it's because we're all a bit scared of the unknown ahead of us. For all we knew, as soon as we got into the ocean, Baby Strange would be overtaken by waves, and we'd shortly be floating back to shore in our life raft. None of us had ever sailed in the ocean before, and most of the crew had less than one season of lake sailing under their belts. Whenever we explained our situation to outsiders, they fearfully looked upon us as to what we really were, a group of crazy Nebraska kids who had no idea what they were getting themselves into.
Now for the official National Weather Service forecast for the southern Miami-Dade County listening area. High with current drift can affect through Sunday evening. Today, partly sunny. Highs in the lower 80s.
This wet button is just under here.
Oh, so you have to lift the cover up.
So you have to lift the cover up, and then this is another.
What's that button do?
That one's like. Hands are help or spot assist. Request help from your friends and family at your GPS location.
Okay.
So that's like a more of like a personalized
So you don't
SOS.
have to pay the Coast Guard to come get you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just have another person drive down their sailboat and, you know.
Okay. Another branched oak trailer sailor?
Yeah, exactly.
Right off the bat, the waves were way bigger than we'd expected. While I found it to be a thrilling ride, Maggie had found herself on the stern of the boat in a paralyzed state, too afraid to stand up and walk back to the cockpit.
Foxtrot, flash gun, play quiet, flag stove, fall off the edge. You are misread.
In hindsight, this was the first indicator that our time spent traveling the ocean together was not going to be long-lived. At the time, I wrote it off as her suffering from a bit of anxiety and seasickness. I assumed that as the days passed, her anxiety would also fade away.
You will connect, don't you hide, close your eyes, when something Something's missing.
Looking back, I kind of feel awful. She was being such a good sport and hiding how terrified she really was. Rufy, on the other hand, was doing just fine. And Max and Tys had quickly adjusted to their new roles as helmsperson and navigator, while I ran around like a puppy who discovered outside for the first time.
I'm scared to die.
We made it nearly 30 miles that day before we stopped at our first anchorage. It wasn't in our budget to stay at marinas or even to pay for a mooring ball, so each night from here on out, we had to pick a temporary, free home for the evening.
Hey Maggie. Merry Christmas.
We drank beers under the Christmas full moon anchored just off Key Largo. Some of us passed out inspired and dreaming of future expeditions, while others dreadfully dozed off, regretting getting themselves into this situation in the first place.